Fairsy's Big Breakfast, thanks to Harvey Norman Launceston.
I'm in love with your body.
Some big news is breaking on the medicinal cannabis front, so I thought it timely to catch up with Lynn Cleaver from Medicinal Cannabis Awareness Tasmania. Lynn, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Rob. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I am very good. Now, this is a very positive move. I believe so anyway. Now, this is in Victoria at the moment, but Victorians who are crook and need medicinal cannabis will be able to get access within 48 hours under a federal government plan to slash red tape on the radical treatment. That's going to be suggested by Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt when he meets the state health ministers this Friday. That would be a game changer, wouldn't it?
Well, we're hopeful that Mr Ferguson will be guided by the Federal Minister for Health and basically drop the duplication of state-controlled applications. I think they've already done it in New South Wales. So, you know, a 48-hour turnaround for approvals would be outstanding.
I think it's a huge move because down here, as we know, I think we've got, 4 or 5 at the most that have been approved under the Tasmanian medicinal cannabis access scheme, and there are lengthy delays trying to see a specialist about it and then trying to access the product. So it's really, you might as well not even have one here at the moment because the delays are just horrible.
It's certainly difficult. You know, the numbers of people trying to access cannabis in Tasmania run into the thousands, but you could count on one hand those people who have been successful, you know, in applying for a legal medicine. And in our personal experience, if there was no controlled access scheme in Tasmania, Jeremy would already have a legal medicine. He had TGA approval, so that kind of just speaks to how much easier it could be made for people who are very unwell.
Yeah, well, under this, if this gets underway, basically it means that doctors can help patients fill out a simple online form, request access to a treatment, then approve within 2 days. That's a massive difference to what we've got here at the moment.
Oh, for sure. But I guess too, you know, we need to be aware that there'll still be issues around consistency. You know, consistency is paramount for these very unwell Australians. So it needs to be a reliable and affordable product. You know, so that will still be a hurdle. But if you have a doctor, instead of spending 6 to 12 hours on your application, they're just doing it online. It's a far quicker process for them as well as for the patient. So I think it would be a good move. And I guess the proof will be in the pudding, you know, when people get easier access to cannabis medicines. Yeah,
and I guess now the pressure is on the State Health Minister, Michael Ferguson, to take on board the suggestions, if this does come about, from Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt when they meet on Friday, to allow them to take over. And we're talking about the Federal Therapeutic Goods Administration here to manage it and streamline the process. Yeah.
And you think it'd be a sensible move for Minister Ferguson to follow what they're doing federally. So hopefully Greg Hunt can convince him to move on this and make it easier for Tasmanians to access cannabis medicine.
Yeah. Now, what about you on the front here? I mean, are you still getting inundated with people and requests and all that sort of thing? Do you find it's increasing?
Absolutely. And most advocates, you know, across the state are finding the same thing, you know, like several calls a day, emails. Demand is really high, and the government needs to appreciate what's happening out here on the ground. And we need, these people want access to cannabis and they're going to access it any way they can. So the government needs to move quickly to make this easier for those people. Yeah,
exactly, and ease the pain and suffering of fellow human beings. I mean, that's the bottom line here, isn't it? And
nobody should have to beg a bureaucrat for medicine.
No.
You know, you shouldn't have to.
You're right. Yeah. You're exactly right. I was at Symonds Plains at the supercars on the weekend, and me being the advocate for it, as you know, I was even asked out there all about it. So there you are. That's never happened before to me, I can tell you. Normally it's talking supercars, but they go, "Oh, while you're here, tell us about this." And but yes,
most people are desperate. They're either in a situation where they're desperate to learn more because they need it, or you know, they know somebody that needs it. And every time the government pops up with an announcement like this, it just drives demand. So yeah, they need to appreciate what's happening, in Tasmania. Yeah.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. Lynn, will stay in touch. And, hopefully some good news is not too far away. At least that's a huge step in the right direction and something we weren't that close to as of yesterday, were we? So that's good news.
Yeah, it is good news.
All right, Lynn Cleaver from Medicinal Cannabis Awareness Tasmania.
Fairsy's Big Breakfast, weekday mornings from 6 on LAFM.